frustration shows extreme violence being meted out in a dormitory at Adisadel College in Cape Coast. Now, the housemaster of Kwaku House and the students involved in the violence, as well as those who watched, and another one who filmed it, are all under investigation. There are conflicting bits of information coming in about the incident and the actions taken so far, but we will get all of this straightened up for you this afternoon. Now, we're going to show you the video of the incident. It contains violence, which some viewers may find disturbing, so discretion is advised. This disturbing video shows a student being attacked from the back, being put in an elbow lock, and then his head is hit on a bunk bed by another student. It causes an immediate swelling on his right cheek, and you can see blood oozing out. Observe. All right, now before we show you that, let's very quickly go through the statement, which has been released by the Ghana Education Service on this matter. It's a very short one. We can read it for you in full. It says management is concerned about the recent spate of disciplinary issues in our institutions and as a matter of urgency wishes to direct each school to appoint a dean of discipline. This is dated the 30th of May 2023, so this is an issue that the Ghana Education Service was seeking to tackle from earlier this year. You are hereby directed to inform all heads of schools to appoint deans of discipline through elections and submit the list of all appointed to the Director General by Friday the 9th of June 2023. Throughout the Secretariat, email is provided, dgsecretariat@ges.gov.gh. Please find attached the job description of a Dean of Discipline for your attention and necessary action. This must be treated with urgency. It's signed by the Director General, Dr. Eric Nkansa, and copies go out to the Minister of Education and many others. There is another statement, more recent and more relevant to what is happening in Adisadel today. But we also have the video of the actual incident, which, like we explained earlier, it comes with a warning, viewer discretion is advised. Before that, though, let's very quickly read the statement that came out following this incident at Adisadel. Concerned and condemns this barbaric act of violence in our schools. Ghana Education Service assures the general public that we are taking we'll bring you that shortly. But video came out, even the victim himself The reason he will have to come and write the exams with parental escort. He will also be sanctioned. 4. Well, and these are the details from a report that
account today for a lifetime of benefits. You also stand a chance to win more than double your salary in the EcoBank Double Salary Promo Reloaded from now till July 31st. Terms and conditions apply. This promo is under the supervision of the National Lottery Authority under the Caritas Lottery Platform.
Daddy, this tank is big.
Yes, that's true.
It can store a lot of water.
That's so true.
Wow, it has a working tortoise on it.
That's so true.
I can see SINTEX. Syntax.
That is so true, my daughter.
When it falls down, it will spoil.
That's not true.
But why?
Hey! Syntex was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Syntex again was the first to introduce white inner layers in Ghana. Syntex gives you the biggest warranty, 7 years. No matter your water needs, Syntex is the answer. Syntex tank. Are you strong? Are you tough?
Smile, Look lively, okay? Smile, smile. Is the money too small?
A bad stomach ruins your day. Don't let it. Take Gastron, your most effective antacid for the
wide variety of items is amazing.
Interesting things at Homeland. This
Promotions, sales, massive discounts, freebies. What more can you ask for? Call Homeland now on 059-381-1451.
shop your way at Homeland at Accra Central.
Amali.
Spintex, Kumasi. It's a big bazaar, big sale this whole month at Homeland Ring Road branch. Get interactive on all social media platforms at Homeland Store GH. Happy kitchen, happy home.
You're welcome back. This is The Pulse, and we are paying close attention to incidents unfolding at Adisado College this afternoon. Semifa, you have been in Adisado School today, Adisado College today.
Until now.
Indeed. Now, you and I were in the same secondary school roundabout. We will bow to your superior knowledge on this one. Talk us through the legal implications.
I believe, of our Criminal Offences Act would deal with from the context of an assault and battery, for that matter. Process, which doesn't necessarily put children or young persons who have committed offenses, the law refers to them as juveniles. The contemporary description of such persons would be, of course, children in conflict with the law. They would then go through the juvenile justice system of Ghana, where the trial or the whole judicial process would involve the participation of a social worker as well, given that you are dealing with persons in a formative stage of life.
Now, there's a lot of conversation on social media about, who's to blame? And you hear people blaming the parents of the perpetrators. You hear people blaming the teachers for having lax supervision of the students and so forth. But let's talk about legal liability here. I mean, there's a duty of care, no doubt, but walk us through it. Right. Assuming that this were to become a legal matter, where would the on whose doorstep would the blame be placed?
Right. From the criminal side first, then definitely you are looking at the young boy who is seen attacking the other students. So it's a question of personal legal liability when it comes to the criminal side. The one who was seen attacking his colleague would be the one held responsible directly for that act. Then you could also look at it from a civil law angle or the civil procedure. Now, just for quick public education, when you talk of a crime is a wrong against the whole of society. So all of us as Ghanaians have agreed to a certain set of rules to guide our conduct. But civil matters are usually wrong between two individuals. or matters that govern two individuals. Okay, so the boy involved, the victim, let's call him that, could also bring civil action against the other child. But being children, of course, then they would have to sue through what we call a next friend, possibly their parents, who would bring such an action. The parents, so this would be a civil action for even assault as well,
Right.
Assault and battery,
Right.
Where they could get some damages for what has happened. But then at the level of the school, the parents also considering a contractual relationship of sorts, a fiduciary relationship between the school that have assault and battery,
Right.
Where they could get some damages for what has happened. But then at the level of the school, the parents also protected, could fiduciary relationship between the school that I brought my child to a school and I expect the child to be protected, could be another point to look at when it comes to possible legal interventions.
Right. Lawyer as well.
Said Adisadel is handling this extremely well. From the most recent article I read on it, I think they've expelled 2 of the boys involved. The third one that was filmed, they've expelled him. The third one that was filmed has been suspended, and those who were viewing the incident but not, getting involved in terms of stopping it, will face disciplinary action. And I think the housemaster and the deputy have been relieved temporarily of their position. So I think the response is very good. But if it hadn't gone viral, perhaps the response might not have been the same. And I think the indictment on the students who committed this, it again goes to show it's a lot about culture in terms of this sort of group enterprise. And they become one in terms of, just the momentum and the adrenaline that's running for this sort of group enterprise as they're committing this criminal act. But the indictment on them, I think, is quite considerable, because apart from what my learned colleague just said, about the criminal offence and where this could potentially go, the social indictment that the whole thing has backfired on them in terms of they're being judged at every level. And they might be stigmatized, particularly because they were in a very good school in Cape Coast. I went to Cape Coast school as well. So, it's pretty hard to get into these schools. And how are you going to go to the next school at the first tier level, if at all? And how are you going to explain away this incident where your face is everywhere and, your parents have to explain that? So apart from the criminal element, I do think the societal element of dealing with this is important. And the fact that because of social media, they've been exposed in terms of, you can't exactly say, I wasn't there, I wasn't doing this. So I think it's very good that, social media can be constructed in such a way as to publicly shame them in a way, because, they'll have to explain for those acts. To introduce some sort of policy, as well as, to introduce some sort of policy, as well as, to just it's like a virus, when one bad highly unfair. to say that this was a medicinal problem. It is it's these sort of things. It's like a bad virus. You know, you've just got to expunge it. You've just got to deal with it on a mentality level. And you've just got to make sure that although you are inviting students who have extremely high grades, that they are fully aware of where this could lead in terms of the reprimand, and that it could affect the rest of the mentality level. And you've just got to make sure that although you are inviting students who have extremely high grades, that they are fully aware of where this could lead in terms of the reprimand, and that it could affect the rest of the student's life. But I think this is an isolated incident. And I think, you know, each Ghana Educational Service work grades, that they are fully aware of where this could lead in terms of the reprimand, and it could affect the rest of the student's life. But I think this is an isolated incident. And I think, you know, each Ghana Educational Service working on a policy document would show their commitment to ensure, you know, each Ghana Educational Service working on a policy document would show their commitment to ensure
to other reports that the culprit has been dismissed. Not privy to that information, but she gave me the recommendation that came from the examination under parental escort. So these outcome of that particular meeting will determine whether the student
I want to wrap with you, Edmund, wrap up with you very quickly on this. I mean, you've pointed to where all the, you know, criminal and legal responsibilities would lie. But I wonder about those who were observing, you know, this harm being caused, this assault, you know, occurring. I wonder about them. Are they criminally liable?
There is definitely a responsibility under our Criminal Offences Act that when one sees a crime being committed, and I would think that a crime now involving such bodily harm, they would have taken steps to intervene. But then it comes again to the whole point about education. And I have been advocating over and over again. Yes, not everyone needs to go to law school, but as Ghanaians, we just need a certain modicum of legal knowledge and understanding when issues arise and we need to intervene or take action as ordinary citizens. A part of me at some point in my life also, I've worked on child law issues. And for GES, I am with Amanda 100% about the working out a good policy document on this and the interventions, even for, yes, those children who stood by and were watching what was happening. But more importantly, to emphasize that since we took away corporal punishment, as a country, we really need a very good discussion and understanding of how we discipline. I mean, the whole positive discipline concept. This morning, I heard on many of the stations people who were on this concern that discipline program that let us go back to the discipline for that matter. Thank you very much.
I want to thank you, Edmund Foley, for spending some time with us on this all-important matter. We're thoroughly educated. Amanda Clinton, of course, has also shared very interesting perspectives, and we appreciate you for that. All right. Now,
Thank you.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
All right. Now, let's speak to Divine Quer. Now, he's an education specialist with Africa Education Watch. He joins us right now. Divine, thanks for making the time. Now, I'm interested in what we've heard so far from the Ghana Education Service. No unified code of conduct. Every school has its own code of conduct. But in terms of what to do about bullying, the only instruction the Ghana Education Divine, for schools, which would have dealt with how bullying is to they report it. Does that make them safer, or does that make them more of a target?
Talk of physical violence, psychological violence, and sexual. What they call the Safe School program to address this issue. Enrollment and continuation in school. However, the challenge remains. Program is to empower them to report when they are being bullied. It is to empower the bystanders also to step in. It is also to empower the victim to report.
How are we empowering them? In what ways are we empowering the victims to report? How are we doing that?
Okay, the program is supposed to run educational programs as part of the activities lineup. Teachers, first of all, were to have their capacity developed through in-service programs to be able to identify victims, possible students that could be victim to issues of abuse, and then also how to handle, supposed to establish clear communication line on reporting, and then also supposed to have the student program targeting students like talk shows to be able to for them to understand their role or what they need to do when they are being victimized. So those are some of the ways of the empowerment. And not just that, you have seen that even you come in?
Sorry, I was going to ask, but why are we asking victims of bullying to report it? Does that work? When a victim reports to their teacher or their, housemaster that they've been bullied, does that not make them even more of a target for bullies?
Not at all. When we want to approach it like that, then it means that we are asking them to keep quiet, and the more they keep quiet, that's how it will fester and become a whole lot of issues in the school.
But is there not a better way of having them report, maybe with anonymity? Is there not a way of making the reporting process safer for them so that they don't suffer repercussions?
Of course. That is part of the program. Look at the program. It is not that you go and then your identity is obviously. And the same thing applies to the bystanders. If you are to report, your identity is also supposed to be protected. And it's supposed to be one of the works that the guardians and counseling coordinators in the school are supposed to be doing. But of course, we all know that they are a burden because beside their work as counselors in the school, they have to teach one or two subjects.
Why do they have to teach?
I'm glad that...
Why do they have to teach? They are guidance and counseling officers. Why are they teaching?
Yes, but unfortunately, they have been assigned a subject to teach in the schools. But
my question is why? Why? Who has assigned them
as a challenge?
My question is why, Divine? Who has assigned them teaching jobs? Why? Why have we done this?
Of course, their employer has assigned them the teaching job. So we go to our senior high school, we have guardians and counseling coordinators, but they are not there just as that is not their primary function. They have other subjects that we have to teach as well. But I was coming in. Policy, their work will be decoupled, whereby they will not be assigned.
A policy to ensure that they are not given a different job. Why don't unnecessary duties to a guidance and counseling?
By the anomaly, it has run over the years. That's not the best. Is mature before we begin to decouple their work from teaching. either from a student to a student or from a teacher to student. It's
Act has now gone viral. Are there some
He was further assaulted when that video went viral, and he didn't want to be seen as that. And this sort of group mentality, it's like a gang mentality, those watching, those videoing, those participating in the crime was just, I think it really was a damning effect, particularly because it went viral. But it's also about changing the culture, because as Ghana Education Service rolls out this policy document, because I've worked in the policy department before, it's not just about rolling out the policy documents, it's about implementing it. So how are you going to implement it? Are you going to target schools? For instance, the GES can target schools where occurrences like this have happened. So they send extra posters. So as soon as you go to the school, on a main board, there is a massive sign. There is a stand, like a poster stand at a key place. It ingrains in the student's mind with pictures. These are the things that can happen if you spend your time trying to bully someone. We have a zero tolerance policy. You can be expelled. The rest of your life will be affected. I mean, something quite dramatic. So GES, in rolling out that policy document, would also have to back it up, I think, with what is the paraphernalia in terms of the posters and the stands you're going to send out, particularly to key schools who have been known as schools with a lot of bullying, particularly, boarding schools, and to just deal with culture. Because once you change the culture of an institution and the culture of what people are to expect, should they commit the crime?
Amanda, forgive me for cutting in. Forgive me, Amanda. There is some news just coming in, so please just hold on to that thought, because we will continue to hear what you were saying. But there is some news just coming in from the presidency. President Akufo-Addo has made a new ministerial appointment to the position of Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources. Let me read the statement, which is signed by Eugene Ahin and dated today, 25th of July. The President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has appointed the Minister of State at the Presidency and Member of Parliament for Tano North, Frida Prempe, as the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources. She takes over from Cecilia Abna Dapa, whose letter of resignation, dated Saturday, 22nd July 2023, was accepted by the President on Saturday, 22nd July 2023. President Akufo-Addo, in consultation with the Ministers for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration and Roads and Highways, respectively, has also appointed the Deputy Minister for Roads and Highways and Member of Parliament for Efija Sechere East, Mavis Nkansapwedu, as Deputy Minister for we were in conversation with Amanda Clinton.
Stop that. I think the key point for them to focus on perhaps is a zero tolerance for bullying and how that is going to look like. And I also think that it's not just about a policy document that's written, but you've got to have pictures, sort of like, as I said, if they roll out the policy document, it has to be backed up with posters and stands, etc. And if GES can't afford to obviously roll that out to every secondary school, particularly boarding schools in the country, then you send them PDF versions, and the schools that are particularly encouraged to make sure that students know this can put up those stands and can put up those posters. But changing culture is about changing perspective. It's about introducing positive behavior within the school setting and just restoring discipline in a way that is actually going to affect changing the culture and in a way that's going to benefit the student. Because, as you've said, parents send their kids to school, particularly boarding schools, but to be in a safe environment, free from assault. And so whatever the GES can do to support this beyond a policy document in terms of, posters that's going to benefit the student, because as you've said, parents send their kids to school, particularly boarding schools, but to be in a safe environment, free from assault. And so whatever the GES can do to support this beyond a policy document in terms of, posters and etc., it would be helpful. And perhaps, schools being encouraged that since they have a morning devotion and posters and etc., it would be helpful. And perhaps, schools being encouraged that since they have a morning devotion and, morning meetings most mornings, that at least being encouraged that since they have a morning devotion and, morning meetings most mornings, that at least...
Now, James, thanks so much for,
It's to do it, we must be mindful of the kind of stress trauma. And interestingly, he just said perhaps this guy was under each other with such violence. It's something really for us to look at. So definitely.
This strain that we're putting on the guidance and counseling officers is just unconscionable. It's something that we absolutely have to attack. Now, why don't we find out the latest? My colleague James Abeji is actually at the Ghana Education Service. He's been monitoring the development of this story. James, tell us what has...
So, as we speak, the children, the students, as well as they have arrived here at the Ghana Education Service, as Semefa has indicated earlier. And so, before we came here, one of the students have arrived earlier, the one we saw in the video, allegedly perpetrating the act, was here with a family member. They were already here, and then we were told that the rest of the team are on their way to the Ghana Education Service premises. In about 10 minutes, they also arrived. The school bus of Adisco actually arrived with some other 2 vehicles. Now, when I made a head count, 5 more students came with the school bus. In addition to the student that was here earlier, would give you 6 students from the school who are dressed in their school uniforms, together with some other adults that I would want to believe would be the head teacher as well as parents of the other school. Now, among these 6 persons are the one seen in the video perpetrating the act, the one who is the victim, as well as the one that took the video actually, and then the rest we are told are actually witnesses to the incident. And so that's the number of students who are here. What is unclear is whether the house master who has been suspended is also part of the team. We do not know or cannot confirm that, and so we know that they are here. And what is currently ongoing, we are picking, is that there is currently a meeting happening between the authorities of the Ghana ongoing, but the students are still in the bus. What we know is that they would be ushered in to continue that meeting after the meeting between the GES authority as well as the Deputy Minister for Education is concluded. And so that is what is happening now. The substantive meeting has not started yet with the students as we speak. Some of us had indicated is a blank statement that will be chairing that, but what we know is that the Deputy Minister of Education is the one holding the meeting with the GES authority as we speak, and so it's unclear which specific or particular authorities from the GES would be steering that meeting.
James, I want to thank you for your time. Obviously, you'll keep an eye on that for us, and we'll learn more as it happens. Also, big thanks to Amanda Clinton, as well as Edmund Foley and Divine Kwe. Very informative and educational conversation. We appreciate your time very much. This is The Pulse, and there is more to come. We certainly have to look at the home bank saga, as it's being called. Millions, at least $1 million and a million CDs and much more stolen, allegedly, from the home of a former minister. And the fallout is huge. More after these.
For crystal clear and thrilling podcasts and live shows, download and listen to us on Apple, Spotify, TuneIn, Google Podcasts, MyJoy Online, Amazon services like Echo, Amazon Music, and Audible, Stitcher, Adom Online, Overcast, and Pandora. Take note of everything. Sign up for the multimedia digital platforms now to stay updated.
Six technical universities have set out to lock knives and ladles in the quest for the bragging rights as the Big Chef Tertiary School 2023.
We know we are the best and we are not shaken by anyone.
Hey.
Chinese
We are all the way from Takoradi Western to Greater Accra. Oh no, come on.
Visitors cannot come from anywhere and come and defeat us.
We can prepare dishes that are going to suit the judges all day.
We are here to win. We are taking everything back to home.
The battle line is drawn. Big Chef Tertiary shows this and every Sunday at 5 p.m. only on Joy Prime. Big Chef Tertiary, the kitchen has no boundaries. Joy Prime, your ultimate experience.
If anyone told Lateef Abubakar that he was going to be a playwright or do theatre, he probably would have laughed it off.
My love for theatre. I mean, National Theatre actually does some performances, but it's those dry kind of performance where you go there and you see just 50 people in a 1,500 auditorium or 100 people in a 1,500 auditorium. So we felt that let's commercialize theatre properly.
The second clinic of the 2023 edition of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair promises to excite patrons in many ways. The West Hills Mall will host all relevant players in the housing and construction industry in Ghana from Friday 4th to Sunday 6th August 2023 from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. This year's exhibition is under the theme Home Ownership, Affordability, Comfort or Luxury. Visit the clinic and engage the providers in the housing value chain on all your housing needs, be it financing, land acquisition, rent to own, outright purchase, roofing, lighting, electronic appliances, home security, or home furnishing. The EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is your one-stop shop for everything housing. To register as an exhibitor, please call 0244 260 653. There will be daily giveaways by the sponsors to visitors at the fair. The EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is in partnership with EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, and powered by the Planned City Extension Project from Cities and Habitats. Rent to own, and sponsored by Elegant Homes and General Construction Limited, where quality meets value. Syntex tanks, a strong, a tough. EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. Affordability, comfort, or luxury.
If this is Connect Africa with me, Blessed Sugam, welcome to our program. We have updates on the elections taking place in Sierra Leone.
There had been some attack around the opposition's office, and this was because they prematurely announced results, which both parties technically did.
And what is the cost of political unrest in the West Africa sub-region?
The preponderance of illicit activities resulting from easy access to small arms is causing a lot of havoc across the region.
5 countries. How are you going to work with them?
It is one of the few cases where we have the countries themselves agreeing to do it and calling on ECOWAS to act on their behalf.
There is a DNA testing, the process of DNA of 17 students who were banned beyond recognition. So at the moment, there is some uncertainty. Some of the parents being paid. Is it
the home bank scandal. But first, in the signed by John Edem Abeji, who is the General Secretary. The allowance payment has been confirmed and will be disbursed this Prinkoff to the Ministry of Education. Possible outcomes.
The second clinic of the 2023 edition of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair promises to excite patrons in many ways. The West Hills Mall will host all relevant players in the housing and construction industry in Ghana from Friday 4th to Sunday 6th August 2023 from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. This year's exhibition is under the theme Home Ownership, Affordability, Comfort or Luxury. Visit the clinic and engage the providers in the housing value chain on all your housing needs.
As a contractor, I choose Hardy Fiber Cement because I've seen it outperform wood-based siding and other hard siding materials. The high-quality craftsmanship translates into beautiful and durable results that leave our customers at G-Fidel extremely satisfied. Using Hardy siding has significantly reduced my callbacks and warranty claims too.
At James Hardy, we're here to support you, from training materials to resources that can help you generate a greater profit. Learn more about growing your business with us at jameshardy.com/build.
Discover credit cards automatically double all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year, which means... Wait, hold up. Question for the audio engineer.
Go ahead.
Did I read that right? Discover automatically doubles all your cash back?
Yeah, that's what the script says.
So if I get a Discover card right now, I can earn twice the cash back.
Apparently. Wait! Unlimited first-year cash back match. Only from Discover. See terms and learn more at discover.com/match.
As a contractor, I choose Hardy Fiber Cement because I've seen it outperform wood-based siding and other hard siding materials. The high-quality craftsmanship translates into beautiful and durable results that leave our customers at G-Fidel extremely satisfied. Using Hardy siding has significantly reduced my callbacks and warranty claims too.
At James Hardy, we're here to support you, from training materials to resources that can help you generate a greater profit. Learn more about growing your business with us at jameshardy.com/build.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail, the ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way, offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
What should we do with the broke propeller? What should we do with the broke propeller? Don't look at me, I wasn't driving. Thank you, you're not helping. I don't even know why you bought this boat. You told me that you loved this boat. That was before you wrecked the boat. Well, now you've made it awkward.
Accidents don't just happen in sea shanties, so Progressive Boat Insurance has you covered. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you can save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, covered subject to policy terms and not available for all boats or in all situations.
Heading back to school? Kids' cuts are only $12 at JCPenney Salon. Bring your K through 6th graders in today for a cool cut they'll love. Or take $12 off any styling service of $30 or more and send them back to class looking fresh. Walk-ins are welcome, but spots fill up fast. Skip the line and book an appointment at jcp.com/salon. Feel your best from the first day forward. JCPenney. Offers valid through 9/23. Must book with designer or senior designer. Exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
The home bank scandal. But first, in the signed by John Edem Abeji, who's the General Secretary. The allowance payment has been confirmed and will be disbursed this Prinkoff to the Ministry of Education. The home bank scandal. But first, in the signed by John Edem Abeji, who is the General Secretary. The allowance payment has been confirmed and will be disbursed this Prinkoff to the Ministry of Education. Possible outcomes for your welfare. Thank you very much. And so, what's your continued complaint?
Very much. Just like he's saying, I understand from that point that it's still used to feed us. And no doubt about that, that prices of goods and services in the market have gone higher. That may warrant their request. However, the students also receiving that little complaint that used to come to them were grateful because in as much as it was quite little, they were still managing. And to see their components being reduced will be added to another component. But because in as much as it was quite little, they were still managing. And to see their components being reduced will be added to another component. But like assisting ourselves in so many ways, so far as teacher education is concerned in the College of Education. In this sense, it means that added to a component that is being used to feed us. So we expect that once that has gone there, there should be improvements in the food that we are being served in the College of Education, because there were times that it happened that our principals were finding it very difficult to feed us.
Yeah, Jepta, you are telling me what you expect. I'm asking what you are willing to give up.
Please come again.
You are telling me what you expect, right? But I am asking you, what are you and your members willing to give up, since we are all being asked to tighten our belts and give up something for our ailing?
the previous years, we are experiencing 15% increment that we can all bear because
Oh,
different professions. Clearly, teaching is different. Clearly, teaching is different. A national conversation will have to have at some other point to look at the medicine.
What's wrong?
I don't think it is something that we should be talking about. But you ask the question, what exactly do they want to do themselves? Afternoon, evening, clearly it's a big challenge for everybody. But there are students. It is some intervention that government introduced. We have to see how we can manage it, and that's what we are doing. So for me, TAC cannot at this point be saying they are not happy about the component that counts. As I indicated earlier, it is for the benefit of their own students. And he has said here that he expects quality food, he expects the quality to be good. If we look at that context, and for the student to understand why this adjustment has been made and not to be agitating for it. The worst scenario would have been if we were to say, okay, well, take it and feed yourself. We know the implications that would have happened. It's not something that could be good on our campuses.
Okay. Now, I think we have been joined by Bismarck Tay now. He's the Deputy Managing Editor of Teacher Education. Bismarck, you've listened to your colleagues talk about this new development. The change in the component is not going down so well with the teacher trainees, but they say, well, they'll take it like that since it's going to be used to feed them. I want the big picture perspective from you, Bismarck. At this point, going forward, now that this money has been approved, what are the expectations of the teacher trainees going forward?
Thank you, Kudu. I believe, as rightly said by Prof, this really is not a decrease in the allowances of teacher trainees because the allowance is still the 400 cedis. It's the increment in prices that has stated this. And I believe trainees shouldn't really have a problem with this because we all know how situations are in the country. A deeper conversation, which maybe another day will take place, would be government continuous support of the feeding of trainees as against all the other needs of colleges on campus, and having a more proactive and holistic approach to solving the critical needs of the colleges.
Bismarck, I'm actually interested in us having that conversation today, asking Prof about it. So I'd love your perspective on it. No time like the present.
Okay, so for us at the Teacher Education Journal, we see a lot of, infrastructural deficits on campus, where there is a need for a lot of capital injection to even expand access to college education in the first place. Because of the limited infrastructure on campus now, you have at every time some people being at, because of the limited infrastructure on campus now, you have at every time some people being at the rural areas across the country. That's one.
From your perspective, what are the answers to these questions?
For me, the teaching profession, the teacher is more in a better place now than before. And so coming from that perspective, as a journal, we believe that we do cost-benefit analysis and look at, okay, the feeding of trainees, the 400 cedis per person, that's the allowance, catering for feeding and other things. As against expanding access, where a lot more people can have access to college education, and then we can have teachers go into the classroom and teach. We believe that's more of where we should be looking at, and not necessarily should the allowance be increased vis-a-vis the economic situation we have now. The rural areas across the country, that's one.
From your perspective, what are the answers to these questions?
For me, the teaching profession, the teacher is more in a better place now than before. And so coming from that perspective, as a journal, we believe that we do cost-benefit analysis and look at, okay, the feeding of trainees, the 400 cedis per person, that's the allowance, catering for feeding and other things. As against expanding access, where a lot more people can have access to college education, and then we can have teachers go into the classroom and teach. We believe that's more of where we should be looking at, and not necessarily should the allowance be increased vis-a-vis the economic situation we have now.
Okay, I really appreciate your perspective there. Bismarck Tay is the Deputy Managing Editor of Teacher Education Journal, and we appreciate your time, as well as our other speakers on that matter. All right, let's get into the home bank. This afternoon, investigations are continuing into the Cecilia Abena Dapaah scandal, as both the Office of the Special Prosecutor and the Attorney General take keen interest in the matter. The OSP raided the homes, encampments, and some close associates of the former Water and Sanitation Minister Cecilia Abena Dapaah before interrogators of the Office of the Special Prosecutor to respond to the controversial stolen money issue. Madam Dapaah herself is currently on bail with surety after spending hours in the custody of the OSP, who had earlier conducted searches at both her official residence in cantonments and her private residence in Abilinkpe. The searches were related to the alleged $1 million cash theft by housekeepers, which led to her resignation on Saturday. The update now is that Frida Prempe has been appointed as the new Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources. We're going to keep you up to date on that incident. But just to update you on what was missing from Cecilia Dapa's Abilinkpe home. Let's have a look at details right now. So, there was $1 million cash allegedly stolen. Also, 300,000 euros cash. Also, 350,000 Ghana cedis cash. Now, in terms of valuables, 6 pieces of assorted kente valued at 90,000 Ghana cedis were stolen. 6 sets of men's suits valued altogether at $3,000 also allegedly stolen. Assorted clothing to the value of 95,000 Ghana cedis, also allegedly stolen, and assorted handbags to the value of $35,000, also allegedly stolen. Finally, assorted perfumes valued at $1,400, and assorted jewelry valued at $95,000. These are all allegedly missing, purportedly stolen by the suspects in the theft case. Also, 300,000 euros cash. Also, 350,000 Ghana cedis cash. Now, in terms of valuables, 6 pieces of assorted kente valued at 90,000 Ghana cedis were stolen. 6 sets of men's suits valued altogether at $3,000, also allegedly stolen. Assorted clothing to the value of 95,000 Ghana cedis, also allegedly stolen. And assorted handbags to the value of $35,000, also allegedly stolen. Finally, assorted perfumes valued at $1,400, and assorted jewelry valued at $95,000.
A toast to our new college grad who fills us with so much joy, almost as much as when we're in our RV. Oh, the world is your oyster, kiddo, and ours too. Now that we're covered with Progressive, Dad and I can hop in our RV anytime we want. Might even splurge on a retractable awning. Ooh, look out. Sorry, what was I talking about?
Protect your loved one with an RV policy from Progressive. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you could save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Purportedly stolen by the suspects in the theft case. All right. Now, it's time for us to take a very quick break. Go grab yourself a cup of tea, cup of coffee, because when we come back, it's time for Jollof. And let's get into the election headquarters. We begin our build-up to the NPP. Hard to earn the enviable slot of flag bearer of the government.
The MPP are the tradition that believes in creating a wealth.
Albert Edubuahi and John Ajekum Kufuor in 1992 and 1996.
The Rawlings dictatorship, when it was life-risking to be associated with the MPP. I'm not a newcomer. I did not join our great tradition midstream after the danger abated. I have served this party right from the get-go and in many capacities. I was there when it mattered most and also when the party was at the peak of its glory. I gathered valuable experience doing so, sitting at the feet of some of the revered leaders of our tradition, the likes of the Venerable B.J. Darocha, Stephen Kreku, Peter Alajete, Albert Dubuahi, T.D. Brodements, R.R. Amponsa, Kwame Donkofojo, Alaji Bin Sali, Roland Al-Hassan, Johnny Selby.
When the party won power in 2000, he became President John Ajekum Kufuor's press secretary. This journey has not always been smooth. Despite successfully winning the party's general secretary position in 2014, he was later suspended. This suspension has since been set aside and is back seeking to lead again. He believes the MPP needs a new face.
Our party, the MPP, cannot afford to put forward those who led us to this state. Our MPP cannot afford to put forward those who led us to this state. I expect Ghanaians to embrace them during the 2024 pair of clean hands, a leader to reconnect with our base and end the trust of Ghanaians.
Mr. Japan is promising a lean
signal. It's not about the leader to reconnect with our base and end the trust of Ghanaians.
Mr. Japan is promising a lean
signal. It's not about the
to your left of the website, all the categories are there. So you hit any that you scroll back to the bottom of the same story that you are reading, or even if you read you may see sometimes it's a black color, but it's usually red at the radio, podcasts, they are already at the top. So just have come to our readers earlier with all of this. But for those of our So then looking for stories become difficult. Otherwise, this is of it, all the buttons are readily available. Is it you want to tweet?
Heading back to school? Kids' cuts are only $12 at JCPenney Salon. Bring your K through 6th graders in today for a cool cut they'll love. Or take $12 off any styling service of $30 or more and send them back to class looking fresh. Walk-ins are welcome, but spots fill up fast. Skip the line and book an appointment at jcp.com/salon. Feel your best from the first day forward. JCPenney. Offers valid through 9/23. Must book with designer or senior designer. Exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
And what about you?
Congratulations will be in rights for me to give you, but what was the goal?
To this cancer, so we came here, one, to
what is the essence of having AMA partner this?
Because the climate conversation we celebrated the Climate World Emergency Day by going to schools. We went to the USU cluster of schools to talk about, to teach about environment and the climate change and the global warming conversation. And I did it with the AMA, with the AMA boss, with the Accra mayor. So we are lifelong partners. For the conversation to go down, we need to work with NGOs, civil societies, we need to work with schools, with education, we need to work with politicians, we need to work with pastors, we need to work with imams. Everybody must come on board so that we can keep nature at least the way we found it and not destroy it.
Gospel musician Kaklote over the weekend had a private album listening to his yet-to-be-released album, Shida. The 13-track album, Shida, has some very notable names in there.
God is my victory. He is my fortress. He is my victory. That's how we have the national voice. God is my victory. He is my fortress. He is my victory. That's how we have the national voice. So 9 years, so they give birth to their giftings without sweat. That's how we have the national voice. So 9 years, so they give birth to their giftings without sweat. You know about who persists or who can without sweat. That's how we have the national voice. So 9 years, so they give birth to their giftings without sweat. You know about who persists or who can. When you prosper, it prospers. Persists or who can. When you prosper, it prospers. If you have endowed your manservant to the four corners of the world.
Get you.
It took us a bit of a longer time than it usually would because of lack of resources. Some of the recordings had to be shared in different years at different projects so that we could get the music out. So that's how come it took that long for it to come. But we have been releasing singles. But I believe an album is a body of work that should have a collective of very great songs. And after 10 years, I know that this song would serve its purpose and people will have enough of Calculate.
I'm going to ask you this then. What is the biggest project you're actually looking out of this album to do? Because, I mean, commercially, there are songs on the album that you want to really project. That people, because Calculate, we know, will do a show, will do a program, and the whole place is full up. But we hardly see more of you out there. So what is the biggest project actually that's going to come out of this album now that you waited for 10 years?
Well, I'm planning on being more visible, putting out more content from what this album has. Let's say the Soreno song is very simple and relatable. People can worship with it, pray with it. And the Shida song is a blend of, you know, Ivory Coast sound to Ghanaian sound with Ghana lyrics. I know that those would be the pointers in the album that will make people look for this album and take us around the globe like we perceive.
All right, okay. So the pastor mentioned the fact that what God has actually purposed for, we shall surely come to his fruitfulness. But as an artist, what are you looking forward to come out of this album?
To reach the globe. I mean, how the sound was produced, it's supposed to match international standards. It's about time that we have a lot of global sounds, gospel global sounds, hitting the whole wide world. I mean, we see our neighbors, the Nigerians, doing it. We sing their music. People sing it around the world. It's been dawned on my heart, which is the global agenda that
I mean, will you say that Calculate is now will you say that Calculate is now
by God's grace, he gives me the ability to do that. There's worship music, there's reggae.
Mr. Minister, you and I have talked about how can we build on the relationship of tourism, and you've asked me to consider being the ambassador for tourism, not just, for the city of Houston and beyond, to encourage Americans and others to come to Ghana. And I will tell you, just based on what I have already seen, I'm already on social media telling them they need to come. And so I fully accept that role. I'm honored to accept that role. And what I can say, the top 4 cities in the United States, the top 4, are now governed in terms of their mayor's position by African Americans. New York, Eric Adams. In Los Angeles, Karen Bass. In Chicago, Brandon Johnson. And of course, in the city of Houston, myself. So the top 4 cities in terms of population, where there is significant Africans in their respective cities. We certainly, I think, have a responsibility to do everything we can to encourage not only people to come to Ghana as tourists, but also to encourage those who do business in our city to do business.
Tourists from the U.S. every year. We want to achieve. So we want you to support us. Win-win.
Significant. But beyond that, and I keep saying, the African continent now we don't want to do that. And so reaching out particularly to what we call
I look forward to seeing you in the city of Houston at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, the largest rodeo in the world, when you got your cowboy hat on, your cowboy boots on, your belt and the belt buckled, and I put you on a horse and you can ride down the streets of the city of Houston.
Tonight on Business Live, government records a cash deficit of 14.6 billion cedis in the first 5 months of this year as total expenditure falls far below target. Also in this bulletin, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, pushes for adequate fiscal support to help bring down inflation, insisting monetary measures alone cannot deliver expected turnaround.
Monetary policy alone cannot deliver that low inflation. So we expect that, the fiscal side of the work would also have to come in.
Plus, Deputy Agric Minister underscores the need for government to adopt small fish under the school feeding program.
The inclusion of small fish in the school feeding program will provide a significant boost to our local fish industry and create a demand for small fish, thereby supporting local fishermen.
Details of these and many others lined up for you. Please stay. Thanks very much for your company. I am Pius Kojo Baka. Let's now look at our stories. Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, is pushing for the required fiscal support to help drive down inflation. According to him, inflation picked up marginally over the last 2 months, forcing the central bank to increase its key lending rate to 30%. Dr. Ernest Addison insists that monetary measures alone cannot deliver the expected results and should be complemented with tight fiscal programs.
This is really what is happening globally. Everybody is focused on bringing inflation down, right? So I would have answered that yes, you will continue to see policy tightening until we get inflation where we want it to be. But we also cannot look at it in isolation, because monetary policy alone cannot deliver that low inflation. So we expect that, the fiscal side of the work would also have to come in with, the appropriate fiscal consolidation and tightening would also help us, in a sense, not to have these persistent increases in the policy rate. But clearly, globally, everybody is focused on bringing inflation down. Financial consolidation and tightening would also help us, in a sense, not to have these persistent increases in the policy rate. But clearly, globally, everybody is focused on bringing inflation down. Financial Stability Fund, the